Smartphones are everywhere these days, and everybody's got their favourite app. But how does this work in the meetings industry? Are apps really useful, or just a distraction? Well, I went along to the IMEX app bar to find out. Miguel, we've now moved over to the app bar. Now, mobile applications are kind of growing by the day. But, are they really important to the meetings industry?
Absolutely. I think there's two factors in that change everything. One is what I was talking about, the invisible technology. When you see, you give an iPad to a baby, they know what to do with it. They click on things move, they swipe, they just instinctively know. And that's because, there was a lot of hours put into the design of the iPad to make it as simple and intuitive as possible. So I have a feeling that we're getting to a point in technology that it's just becoming more intuitive and more human. So many times people spend hours and hours trying to fix their Windows computer or to get Office to do what they want it to do. We're not really supposed to be experts at Office products. We're supposed to be good at our jobs, but somehow we have to be good at running computers at the same time. And we're getting to a point where we don't have to be. And that's great. And I think mobile technology and apps really, enable that, or they're one of the people at the forefront of that. The other thing is the mobile aspect. Sometimes I show people a mobile phone, like an iPhone, and I say, imagine if you're in 1980, and can you explain to me what this is? And that kind of puts it into perspective of the amount of different technologies that are included in an iPhone that just weren't around and people would have no reference point for, like GPS technology, a video camera on your phone, all these amazing things that you can do. And the fact that it's on the road with you, the fact that people can, have a mobile office wherever they are, if they're at a conference, if they're at an event, or if they're traveling around the world, as long as they have connectivity and they have what they need on their device, or on a cloud somewhere if they can get to it, then that enables them to do pretty much anything. So the possibilities, I think we're just starting to see those possibilities. And that's why apps are real game changers, and that's why we think it's important to have an app bar.
And what's this feature of the show all about?
Well, the app bar is about displaying different apps and also different ways of using tablets or mobile devices to enhance events. So it's not really designed as a feature like here are loads of different apps to choose for your conference, because there's lots of technology providers that will show you their solution, but it's really designed as a space where speakers can either come and show apps that they've been using that they like, or they can show how to use certain apps to get parts of the job done. So we have some people that will come and just say, hey, here are 5 apps that I've discovered and I really recommend you using. It's not about selling here. We're not here at the app bar to sell one app or the other. Usually they're actually free apps or low-cost apps that are easily available, but the speakers will show the users how to get them in their project workflows. And other times it's just, why would you need an app, or how to choose the right app, or how to integrate an app correctly with your event. It's one thing's having a nice app, but then if it doesn't do what you set it out to do, then you can get stuck in this kind of technology treadmill of, we need to have an app because everybody else has an app. Well, that's not really a great way to choose your app or to choose the technology that you're using.
So on that subject, what should delegates look for, around the show when they're choosing an app? What should the event organisers, what criteria should they use when they're choosing?
It's a big question, and I think a lot of it has to do with kind of doing a little bit of homework, and whether a meeting professional is technology savvy or not. I think it's important to think about what you want the app to enable, because apps can do variety of things. They can be interactive, they can communication, you can have a floor plan on it, or you can have, it can integrate with lots of data that you have on your system. So there's quite complex integrations. But without having to think about those things, if you can just imagine, okay, somebody comes into my event, they have an app, and I want the app to enable them to do this, or this is the kind of experience that I want them to have. That goes a long way already into possibly eliminating some of the apps out there, or focusing on the ones that can actually deliver what you want. And there's really, there's probably some really key big questions. So things like, does data have to be totally private? Is it a closed app for a private event that should not, there should be no social media involvement? Okay, that puts it in a certain category of apps. Is communication between the attendees important? Okay, that removes a few other apps. So if you can ask these big questions, then choosing the right app becomes very easy. And another good question is, do you do many events that are related? And if so, maybe an app that can be reused for many events is the right way to go. Because a lot of times people build specifically an app for an event, and then all that effort goes to waste, essentially. It just is used just once. So I think those big questions, without really getting into nitty-gritty of technology integration, those can save people a lot of time, and they can really be good questions to start off.
That's a pretty valuable basic guide. Finally, any apps that have kind of caught your eye?
I wouldn't say any apps particularly, have wowed me. I think some apps have better designs of show floor plans. Some apps have better communication things. I think they're all doing a pretty good job, and design-wise, I think they're getting better, because I'm a big fan of apps that look nice, that make you feel good when you're using them. Because if an app does a great job, but if it's very ugly to use or very awkward, you're not going to get the user experience. They should, at the end of the day, be kind of fun. So those do that thing. I think I'm quite impressed with different uses for tablets. So not necessarily apps, but there are other apps out there about sharing documents. And that, for example, is really interesting. If you're at a conference and you can then get the PowerPoint that's on the stage, maybe 50 meters away, on your app, and do some research on it. And then if you have Wi-Fi and you can actually look up some videos that are supporting what's going on stage, or some data, that is a really interesting use of apps, and that really kind of adds a layer to an event that many apps aren't quite adding yet. So I'm much more of a fan of these kind of creative uses of apps than just an app with information.
So it's really a case of a lot more to kind of do on the app front and watch this space.
Absolutely.
Miguel, once again, thanks for talking to me.
Thank you, Ian.